Hello, and thank you so much for dropping by this video. I got a very interesting comment. I made a video on how to tune in to healing energy by Bruno Groening, where I just gave the nuts and bolts, just telling people to observe their body and nothing else. And I got a very interesting comment. Thank you very much for this useful video. I've seen some documentaries about Bruno Groening, and people said different things. Some said that they had prayed for better health. Some that they thought about the things they wanted to get rid of, physical symptoms. If I have misunderstood that, I love Bruno Groening's stories and I'd like to try practicing this healing method. Actually, I've been doing it for a couple of weeks to get out of incurable disease, incurable according to doctors. Your video says that I should only observe my body, not asking God/Bruno Groening for better health, not asking God, Bruno Groening, to help me get rid of specific diseases. What's your opinion on this, please? Thank you very much. So, first of all, I love the question. Thank you for asking. And it's something I think about a lot. What are Bruno's specific directions for doing Einstein? So, the answer is that I'm just going to do my best. So, first and foremost, Bruno gave a lot of specific, I want to call them tips for what to do that can help Einstein and help healing. One of them is asking God for help. One of them is asking, Bruno said, if you call me, I come and I help. Another is to hand the illness over to Bruno Groening. Another, or a spiritual helper you trust. Another, a very specific thing he said is to not think about the illness or to mentally separate yourself from the illness. Let me think if there's any others. I think those are the main. I don't believe he said, and this person wrote, they thought about the things they wanted to get rid of. I don't think that's accurate. Bruno Groening said to mentally separate yourself. And so I'm guessing that's what you're referring to. Bruno Groening once said, focus your entire attention on your healing. So these are all little pointers or helpers, but I don't believe they're the main practice. The core of it, as I understand it, is to and Bruno also once said, have the will to receive. And that's where I think we're getting more at the core of the practice. I would say all these other things are more supportive and good. I ask Bruno Groening for help all the time. I mentally separate myself. The mentally separating is very important. The thing is Bruno didn't write a book like, here's how to do it. Bruno just said all these different things, and it's kind of up to each one of us to reflect on and find the things that resonate or work for us. I've been doing this practice a lot, and I'm very passionate about Bruno Groening's teachings. So my opinion, based on having done a lot of Einstein and a lot of studying of Bruno's teachings and reflecting deeply on them, is that, like I said, there's a core essence of how to do this. And then there are other things that are supportive. So the core is to observe your body, having the intention to take this in, to not think about the illness, and to really have trust and faith. That's what I consider to be the core. And in fact, I'm using almost Bruno's exact words. Bruno would, in his talks, he would say things like, observe your body, or, he would just say, give it away, but there's one letter of his that I feel very lucky to have a translation of, where he gave sort of step-by-step instructions. And that's actually now how I'm teaching it. When I made the video you saw, I wasn't fully aware of that. But the step-by-step instructions are, mentally separate yourself from the illness. Don't think about it anymore. In fact, I'm just gonna get it out and read it. I was going by memory. So I consider this to be the best answer to your question is just Bruno Groening's words. Put what is evil, the illness, which has crept into your body behind you mentally, and pay no more attention to it. Focus your entire attention on your healing. And again, all this is a translation, and I'm working on studying the German so I can get at the original German. Now, ask for the Heilstrom and concentrate on what you feel in your body. One person may feel warm, another cold. The next person may feel tingling in his hands and feet, or he may feel pain. This is the Heilstrom, and what you feel now has no longer anything to do with the illness. Now, every sensation is a step towards your recovery. Your body is beginning to readjust itself. So as you can see, Bruno didn't talk about give the illness to me. He didn't talk about asking God for help. But he did talk about asking for the Heilstrom. And people translate Heilstrom as healing stream, but I don't believe that's the most accurate translation. I think divine energy that saves, or divine force that saves would be. So if I ask for the Heilstrom and I know what the Heilstrom is, then I am asking God for help. So there's a way in which all these different pieces kind of fit together. But what's the core? The core, my understanding, is to, and in another place, Bruno said to have the will to receive. And Bruno talks about often that will is really the core of our being, that's what's most important. So I take what I just read to you and I take that other piece that Bruno shared about having the will to receive. That's what I consider to be the essence. Put the illness aside mentally to where if I have a headache, giving away the idea of a headache, so I don't even have the thought that I have a headache anymore. Focusing on healing. Many ways to interpret that. And once I get my hands on the original German, I'll probably have more to say. Ask to receive the Heilstrom, which is another way of saying having the intention, to want it. Bruno spoke about the importance of wanting the Heilstrom. He once compared it, he said, to one woman, he said, you have to want the energy with the same energy that you sexually desire your husband. That's why will is so important. We have to engage our will, our deep desire, and then observe the body. And here he talks about, which he doesn't talk about a lot elsewhere that I've read, recognizing that every sensation is a step towards your recovery. So that's all the pieces. And I know I'm talking a lot, but the reason why I'm talking is because I'm sorting through all this, because Bruno never wrote, this is how you do it. He gave us all these different pieces. And then literally as I'm speaking, part of why I give these talks is it helps me to take all the pieces and bring them together. So I consider the core to be observing your body with the intention to receive the Heilstrom, not thinking about the illness, and having faith. That's what I consider to be the core, and everything else is a support, whether it's giving it to Bruno, asking God for healing, asking to receive the Heilstrom. All those things but that's what I consider to be the core. And the thing is that, there's I'm sad to say there's different opinions out there. And some people don't even talk about, well, anyway, I'll just put it that what I invite you to do and each one of us to do is to read Bruno's writings, practice it, and ask to be shown the truth. Because ultimately, even the thing I said of what I consider to be the core, don't think about the illness, observe the body with the intention to receive. Even that, there's something underneath it. And Bruno said this, to be connected to God, that is everything. So what I consider to be the absolute core of Einstein, underneath even what I just said, is seeking a connection to God with the recognition that God can heal all things in terms of doing this from a healing practice. And a huge part of it is surrendering. The timing of the healing is up to God. So as you can see, there's no clear answer. I'm just having practiced a lot of Einstein and really studied Bruno's teachings. That's my best answer. And to be honest, if you ask Every person you ask on this path is going to give you a slightly different answer. Um, and then there's reasons why I think the answer I've given would be the quote best answer. But the other thing is or the most accurate answer, but that doesn't mean that's what's best for each individual. For someone who's cultivating a faith in God, asking God for help. For someone who's very arrogant, asking Bruno Groening for help might be very helpful. And the long and short of it is, I've experienced many healings and they've come about in different ways. I've had healings through just being like, here, Bruno, you take this. Or I've had healings by saying, no, I don't accept this. I've had healings where I just did nothing. I tuned in, I observed my body, trusting the energy, and it happened. I've had healings where it was more active, where I saw the evil leaving my body. So my final advice would be this. Just ask Bruno for help and observe your body. Bruno is a teacher and a helper, and he will lead each person to the right path for them. That's something I can't do. That's why I'm not personally answering your question. I would have to sit down and talk and tune in, and that's my final say until I say something else. Take care. Thank you so much for asking.